Hallo YouTube und herzlich willkommen zurück zu Our Life Beginnings and Always. Heute machen wir weiter mit Step 4. Wir sind jetzt noch gerade in der Auswahl, in der Momentauswahl von Step 3, weil wir müssen ja And Then Summer Ended anklicken. Und dann geht es ja direkt los mit Step 4. Ich bin sehr, sehr gespannt, wie Cove dann aussehen wird, weil jetzt springen wir ja wieder dann im Prinzip so 3-4 Jahre in die Zukunft. Ich bin auf jeden Fall sehr aufgeregt. Ich hoffe, ihr seid genauso aufgeregt wie ich, weil... Okay, so. Dann machen wir mal. And then summer ended. Move to the next step, are you sure? Ja. Ich werde den Teil, also jetzt diese Einleitung in den neuen Step werde ich auch zweiteilen. Ne, das ist dann jetzt der erste Teil. Moths bounced against your window, attracted by the lights of your room, a siren call in the slowly darkening sky. Just as the day was coming to an end, so too would summer. Liz would be moving back into the dorms before long. Luckily, Lee had been able to come stay for a short trip before her own journey began. She'd officially been accepted to her first choice college a few weeks ago. This was her last chance to see you all in person for. You flicked through the plans for the next few months, realizing that you didn't even know when you'd next have the opportunity for everyone to be in the same place again. It was hard to think that you'd likely be seeing even less of your cousin going forward, but you were delighted that she was pursuing her dreams. While you were still with each other, your family was going to have dinner together. As ever, the Hodens were tagging along too. You were going to a Chinese restaurant? Your destination was a tropical place. Ich glaube, wir wählen wirklich immer tropical place. Lasst uns mal dieses Mal chinesisch essen gehen. You were going to the Chinese restaurant. It was somewhere your family had always enjoyed going, ever since you and Liz were tiny. That long-standing connection made it a fitting location for a final meet-out before Liz and Lee set off again. Technically, you were getting ready to go out. Through your mind was only half on the task. Stand da though oder through? It was a pleasantly warm evening, the kind that epitomized the vacation feeling, and you were in no mood to spoil it by rushing around. While idly gazing at your room, you spotted a small cluster unopened envelopes. That must have been left for you by a parent earlier. You headed over to the table to flick through for anything of interest. As a child, any correspondence felt exciting due to its rarity. You recognized now that most of it was mundane, but you were checking any mail you got more regularly of late. There was something you were expecting. You stopped at a crisp white envelope. The logo proudly proclaimed the sender, a school you applied to. You took a deep breath and read it. You opened it instantly. You hesitated, worried by the possibility of bad news. You opened it instantly, Leute. Nee. Sofort. You had to see what it was going to say, regardless of whether it was good or bad, as soon as you could. You pulled apart the glued flap on the front of the envelope and extracted the letter. Your eyes darted over the message, rushing past the pleasantries to get to the heart of the matter. The blood pounding in your ears deafened you to the world outside that was contained within these letters. Your heart skidded to a halt as you read your verdict. Verdict? You'd been accepted! Wer hätte es gedacht? You were ecstatic. You were relieved. You could hardly believe it. You were excited. Bouncing on the balls of your feet, you pressed the letter to your chest as your excitement bubbled over. Das ist so, Chat, genau das habe ich gemacht, als ich damals die Zusage bekommen habe für die Ausbildung. You had to tell your family right away. You'd make an announcement at dinner. You wanted to keep this news to yourself. No, you wanted Cove to be the first to know. ganz im Ernst, Cove kann es gleich auch erfahren, der ist ja jetzt gerade wahrscheinlich nicht da, also vor Ort, face to face, aber die Familie schon, deswegen raschen wir zur Familie. You had to tell your family right away. Das habe ich übrigens auch gemacht, als ich die Zusage zum Job bekommen habe, zum jetzigen. Ich habe das im Bett gelesen. Ne? Ich lag im Bett, hab's da gelesen und ich bin sofort runtergelaufen zu meinem Papa und bin so auf der Stelle rumgehopst. Das kann man auch keinem erzählen. You tore down the stairs, your feet barely touching the ground as you leapt from one step to the next. Your arrival, which compensated for excessive speed by creating a riot of noise, caught Mom's attention. Someone's hungry. Her eyes were twinkling, amused as she let you catch your breath. Oh, Jörni, guten Morgen, wie geht's dir? Also, von meiner Seite aus, mir geht's gut. So what's the rush for? I got into college. You what? When was that a thing? Oh, oopsie. Oopsie. Oh, sorry, I didn't really want to talk about it before.
You're fantastic.
You're fantastic. Well, nice, Jenny. I'm impressed, and we should have known you had something up your sleeve. The commotion had summoned the other women from various corners of the house. Liz looked up from her book, grinning as Lee hurried over. Ma swept in from the side, wrapping an arm around your shoulders and squeezing you close.
Good job.
Good job, sweetie. That's wonderful. Hey, let me in on the hug. She wrapped her arms around you both, waiting for an invitation. Liz, her book neatly abandoned on the floor, tapped her hands in applause as she walked up to you. Good job, Jenny. Lee didn't hide her excitement, openly jumping for joy as she treated you to thunderous applause.
Seriously?
Seriously? Ich kann gar nicht so gut quieken. It's amazing. You're gonna be amazing. That's nice, but you shouldn't just stand there. Yeah, there's room for everyone. Your moms opened up the hug, both keeping an arm around you as they each held out another to invite Liz and Lee in. Mir geht's müde, aber ansonsten gut. Sitze an der Projektarbeit und versuche die heute zu finalisieren nach den kleinen Inputs vom Professor. Das hört sich sehr gut an und viel Erfolg. Giggling, Lee dove into the hug. Liz rolled her eyes but allowed herself to be beckoned into the group hug. Your mom squeezed everyone together tightly. Können wir mal darüber reden, dass Twitch einfach wieder komplett broken ist? Ich habe einfach das Video von Twitch nur auf der Hälfte des Feldes, wo es eigentlich sein soll. Richtig komisch und ich kann es nicht größer machen. Ich kann Vollbild machen, dann ist es halt Vollbild und ich kann Kinomodus machen, dann ist es halt Kinomodus. Ganz, ganz seltsam. So. Mom's long hair brushed against your face as she turned to check the clock.
Let's go.
Let's go, we can take this party on the road. We've gotta head out for dinner soon. Nodding, you were aware that your attempts to finish getting ready had been cast aside in favor of congratulating you. I have to do a couple more things first. It won't take long. You hurried back upstairs. Though getting ready to go out was the issue at hand, you couldn't stop your thoughts from drifting back to the future. Your mind was buzzing over the news you'd received and everything that would soon unfurl. Everyone piled into the car. While it was marketed as being suitable to hold 5 people, in practice it made for a very tight fit. Your mom sitting in the front were fine. You, Liz and Lee were squished into the back, Lee in the middle, wedged between you and your sister. But Mom was an excellent timekeeper. Thanks to her efforts, you pulled up near the restaurant on time. The process of getting out of the car was slightly easier than squeezing into it, with much less coordination required to release seatbelts than to secure them. Der Burkhard, Hallöchen und herzlich willkommen im Chat. Ich hoffe, dir geht es gut. Und der Witz ist schon witzig. Aber ich lese Religiöses einfach nicht vor. You gave Lee a hand as she clambered out from the middle seat, then headed into the building as a group. A waiter greeted you as you entered. Ma let him know how many of you there would be in total, and he went to arrange a table that met your needs. You returned promptly to guide you to your seats. You perched comfortably in your chair, your head aloft, as if buoyed by today's good fortune. Your family settled down around you, all cheerful and looking forward to the evening ahead. Your drinks order had just been taken when the Holdens came through the door. They were pointed in your direction, though with Mom waving an arm in the air, it was hardly necessary. Und Danny, Hallöchen, guten Morgen, wie geht's dir? Und natürlich Grüße in die Arbeit. Kof and Mr. Holden came to join you at the table. As greetings were being exchanged, Kof took a seat opposite of you. It had been left empty by unspoken acknowledgement that you and Kof would be wanting to sit together. Mr. Holden sat beside him.
Hi!
Wow. Hi! It's great to see you. Glad you could make it. Hello, everyone. You wouldn't believe how hungry I am.
I see.
I see you came to the right place then. There was some laughter, though Liz groaned playfully, shaking her head at Mom's sense of humor. Growing up, she'd have complained, and Mom would have responded by making another comment. Liz had mellowed over the years, but she still made a show of despairing at Mom's jokes. Her reaction to them had become a joke in its own right. Menus were soon passed around, and a temporary hush fell over the table as everyone read. It didn't last long, punctured by comments about what people had eaten here before and light chatter about what people were considering tonight. Once the waiter had disappeared with your orders, Cliff piped up. Okay, so I've got some good news. Kira's making a trip out here tomorrow. Kof nodded, turning from his father to the rest of the table. Yeah, we talked about it and figured this was a good time for everyone.
Very nice.
That's great. Everyone reacted positively to the news, though Ma looked wistful.
That's a shame.
If only we'd known. Here we are having a big meal without her. If we'd waited one day, she could have joined us. Mom patted Ma on the back, gently nudging her from the realm of possibilities and what-ifs and back to the evening that was going so well. Chin up. Leah and Liz will still be here tomorrow. We'll just have to throw another get-together and keep the fun train chugging along. Ma smiled warmly, taking Mom's hand in hers. That's true. There's plenty to celebrate right now, but there will be more good news and good times on the horizon. Right. And speaking of, that's not all we've got either. Mr. Holden's eyes were alight as he sat up straight in his chair, face angled towards the sun. He barely let a beat go by before nudging Kof with his elbow, pushing him to follow up on the announcement. He was the very picture of a proud papa. Kof from the limelight, ducking his head down and staring at his lap as he spoke. Well, it's just... I switched over to working full-time instead of only part-time. Plus, I've been looking at apartments. There's a few I can choose from. Oh mein Gott! Unsere Wege trennen sich. Trennen sich unsere Wege? Ich weiß jetzt gerade nicht, ob ich lachen oder weinen soll. Leute, Pro-Tipp von mir, ignoriert nicht euren Wäscheberg. Er wird wachsen und dann müsst ihr ihn trotzdem zusammenlegen. Das dauert. Ich glaube, das ist kein Tipp. Das macht man so eigentlich. Also immer direkt die Wäsche machen. He flicked his gaze up at everyone around the table, a smile creeping over his face. I'll be pretty busy going forward. Apartments. He was moving. Who was going to move out of his dad's house after 10 years he wasn't going to be your neighbor anymore. Mr. Holden gripped one of Koph's shoulders and gave it a loving shake. His excitement couldn't be contained. Incredible. Koph's actually going to make it to adulthood. It's a miracle. Oh, jetzt wollen wir nicht übertreiben. Mr. Holden leaned back in his chair, staring up at the ceiling in mock wonder.
I'm so glad.
I wasn't convinced I'd be able to rear a cat all the way to this point, but thankfully I lucked out and got the best boy a dad could have asked for. Nee, ich bin Single. Gewaschene Wäsche landet auf dem Stuhl, bis man sich ihrer annimmt. Nee. Never. Dad. Koph blinkered his vision with his hands on the side of his face, temporarily blocking his father from sight. Despite his genuine bashfulness, which left him unable to meet anyone's eyes after all the attention thrust his way, he was happy.
Thanks.
Thanks. I was really lucky too. You're a good dad. Aww. Come here. Mr. Holden threw an arm around Koph's neck, pulling him into as close of a hug as the seating allowed. He rubbed his cheek on the top of his son's head, while Koph chuckled, accepting the affection with good humor. Ma leaned over and whispered in your ear, her fingertips brushing against your cheeks. Would you like to tell Koph and Mr. Holden what you told us earlier? Ma, nein. Oh, das wird jetzt hart. So, ja, jetzt, danke mal. Jetzt kann ich hier nicht mehr... Jetzt kann ich nicht mehr, also ich kann schon Nein sagen, aber das würde ja dann auffallen. Wir machen einfach nur, okay. As the spotlight thrust on Koph dimmed, you decided this was as good a time as any to make your own announcement. Can I share some news too? Of course! I got my acceptance letter today. I'll be going to college soon. Mr. Holden gave you a thumbs up.
Good kid.
Impressive. You're a good kid. The world's your oyster. Koph grinned at you from across the table.
Seriously?
That's amazing. It's incredible. You did it. Congratulations, Jenny. Thanks. No, seriously, this is really, really big and you deserve it so much. You looked around at the faces of the company here. You'd been on this journey with everyone here for years. Seen them falter and grow, and they had watched you go through the same. Koph was leaving his family home. Liz was heading back to college, while Lee was starting at hers. You were staying close, but it was clear you were all heading in different directions to different destinations. Some near and some far, but it wouldn't be long until you were all going your own way. Your heart swelled with pride for everyone. It was bittersweet. The thought troubled you. It was bittersweet. You turned your head to the side, wistful, not wanting to spoil the evening with your troubles. You were glad that everyone was succeeding, but the idea of splitting up gave you a twinge of regret. These people had been key pillars in your life. Days ahead without them, no matter how bright and shiny, felt a little empty, like a theme park after closing time. But you focused your mind on the sweet side, your mind filled with the bitter part. But you focused your mind on the sweet side. New adventures were still ahead and you could encourage that optimism. Cove brought some attention to himself with a clearing of his throat and a small interjection. Oh, man. I'm gonna stretch my legs while we're waiting for the food and everything.
Sure.
Sure thing, bud. With a tiny smile, he nodded at his dad, but the lightness to his expression faded when he moved to face you. Ich hab's mir gedacht. Wanna come? He was attempting to be subtle, but there was very obviously something on his mind, something he wanted to talk to you about alone. You watched him with concern as you rose from your seat. Yeah, I'll go. Take care. With those parting words, the two of you walked about the place. He was trying to get as far away from everyone else as possible without actually exiting the building. What did you need to say? He hadn't admitted that was what this was about, but he didn't need to. Cove started pulling on the hem of his shirt. He turned his head back to face you, but it was an awkward movement. I wanted to talk to you one-on-one about all this. You know, my work, moving. I mean, it was coming before, but now it's pretty much here. Yeah, it's exciting. Cove stopped picking at his shirt and he seemed to respond well to that response. He was relieved you weren't upset about it. I'm glad you think so. But then he looked down at his brows furrowed. You saw his hand shift away from his clothes and to instead rub at his arm. Are you looking forward to it? I am.
I mean...
Well, I'm trying to be. He ducked his head further and you saw his face start to redden. But it's scary. What if I mess everything up for me? For us? Come on, you don't need to worry. You're going to do great things. You could never ruin what we have. So you're saying you're going to dress up as the future for Halloween? Oh Mann. Oh Mann. Ja. Was sollen wir machen? Come on, you don't need to worry. You're going to do great things. You could never ruin what we have. Wir konzentrieren uns mal auf das Positive und sagen, you're going to do great things. He said nothing, but let his eyes meet yours again. Cove then turned his head away and wrapped his arms around himself. You felt a sudden chill that definitely wasn't caused by the air conditioner. It's happening, you know. What I talked about earlier this summer. The world isn't going to keep us together anymore. It'll all be up to us now. But everything is still gonna be okay, right? We're still gonna be okay? You remembered that night of the Orca fundraiser when you admitted that you loved Cove and that you wanted to be with him always. He seemed so confident about it then, but now that you were on the brink, you were as worried as he was. You got mad at him for this. You kept calm. Naja. Ja, es ist halt ein Unterschied, ne? Wenn man die ganze Zeit zusammen war, also wirklich, man hat sich jeden Tag gesehen und dann sieht man sich wahrscheinlich nicht mehr jeden Tag. Und hat dann auch noch die Problematik, dass eine Distanz zwischen denen liegt, ne? Es könnte durchaus für Sorgen sorgen. Aber selbst wenn wir jetzt wegen der ganzen Situation besorgt sind und Angst haben, Cove ist es auch. Und wenn wir das auch sind, dann ist das noch mehr. Und wenn er es noch mehr ist, dann sind es wir noch mehr. Deswegen versuchen wir für ihn mal einfach ruhig zu bleiben. You kept calm. You understood his concern. It was definitely hard to imagine what would happen. However, you didn't let yourself get upset. I wanted to be forever. Yes, Cove. No matter what happens, I want to be with you. I'm yours as long as you want me. So no matter what happens. You were in love with him. There was no way you were going to let this fall down the wayside. Cove laughed with a delicate smile on his face. Okay, you win. I wanted to prepare myself for the horrifying unknown, but you're kind of giving me no choice but to be optimistic here. His eyes sparkled with mischief. Strong armor. That's right. Oh no, I can't believe you're being forced to have hope about life. I'm happy to hear that. You're welcome. You snickered. That's right. I'm happy to hear that. His lips twitched up at your consideration. Thanks for listening to me, Jenny. It helped. You felt pleased that his anxiety had eased after talking it out. You want to go back to the table? I bet everyone's wondering what we've been up to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot what we were doing here. That'd probably be good. With matching smiles, you both reclaimed your seats at the table. Both of you felt lighter, and it showed. You seem happy. What was that? Yeah, it looked like you were having quite the conversation over there. It's neighbor stuff, sorry. Neighbor stuff. I used to be your neighbor. He waved off their questions, and you didn't offer any explanations. They still seemed curious, but caught that Cove wanted it to stay between the two of you and let it drop. Things relaxed, and you took a sip of your drink. Lee idly tapped the table and got your attention. I'm so excited to try this place. I haven't been here in a long time. I hope it's as good as I remember. All the restaurants in the area are pretty top-notch in my humble opinion. We'll see. It was a challenge issued. Liz carried herself like some sort of professional food critic, and Mom snorted. Tough crowd, geez, Liz. Ma giggled and chimed in as well, much to Liz's embarrassment. That's right, Lizzie, geez. Oh, geez, Louise. Jeez. Rude. Hey, be nice to Liz. You shook your head at all the silliness. Why was your family like this? Jeez. Everyone burst out laughing, besides Liz, of course. She smirked. No one could ever accuse your family of being no fun. Night fell soon after everyone finished their meals, and before you knew it, you were standing in the parking lot, saying your goodbyes and packing up the cars to go home. After the last of the chores were done, your family spent some time more together. The rest of the night felt like it was going by in a blink of an eye, and somehow the time came to retire to your room to sleep. You pulled your covers up under your chin and settled down for the night, getting warm and cozy. Boah, Chat, ich habe heute Nacht so gefroren. Ich dachte, wir haben draußen 0 Grad. Ich schlafe mit offenem Fenster. Es war so kalt. Ich habe mich nicht getraut, das Fenster zuzumachen, weil es so kalt war. Friert ihr eigentlich nachts auch immer noch? As your head sank into your pillow, you closed your eyes. Your mind drifted back to everything that had happened that day. Und Ole, guten Morgen. Oha, lange nichts mehr gelesen. Wie geht's dir? You could see it all now behind your eyelids, as though you were experiencing it all over again. And then the image of Cove popped into your head, and you smiled softly to yourself. You decided to send him a text to Chat. You texted him to come over. You wanted to sneak out to his room. You were feeling tired, so you snuggled deeper into your bed. Sagen wir einfach mal so, okay, wir sind jetzt so, der Tag war schön und so weiter und so fort, ne? Wir sind müde. Auch wenn ich am liebsten zu ihm gehen wollen würde. Er kommt immer hier hin, aber mal zu ihm zu gehen wäre auch nice. Aber you were feeling tired, so you snuggled deeper into your bed. It wasn't long before your eyes were growing heavy and you drifted off into a peaceful sleep. The next morning you woke slowly from a comfortable dream, finding yourself safe and warm and tucked up in bed. With a small stretch, you opened your eyes to the sun shining in through the window. After waking up a little more and getting ready, you headed downstairs to find your family all gathered around the kitchen area. Good morning. You greeted them all, receiving a chorus of good mornings back in return. You nodded in acknowledgement as you headed into the kitchen to find some breakfast. A knock at the front door caught your attention, and curiosity pulled you to follow several steps behind Mom as she wanted to answer it. Kov was waiting there with both of his parents. Morning.
Hello.
Hi there. Surprised at that sight, Mom paused a moment, and then she pulled Kira into a big hug. Meanwhile, you approached the doorway and flashed a small smile at Kov. Kira, it's been too long. I know, time's been flying. Kira's gaze slid over to you. She waved.
Hey,
Hi there, Jenny. Hey, welcome back. You waved, you smiled, you hugged her. Immediately you stepped forward with your arms outstretched. Kira grinned and hugged you tightly. A small squeak escaped your lips and then a chuckle. When you stepped back, there was no missing the merriment sparkling in her eyes. It feels good to be missed, but I'm glad to be back and seeing everyone. Enough of standing around out here. Come on in. Ma moved aside to usher the group in and guided them to the living room. Before anyone could settle in, Mom spoke up. You're all welcome to stay for breakfast. We'll still have some great spices and stuff from the farmer's market.
of course.
Yes, we'd be thrilled to host you. There were eager nods from Mr. Holden and Kira, but Kov looked around the room filled with familiar faces before speaking up. Maybe instead of staying here, why don't we go to the beach? A scenic picnic, huh? Mr. Holden crossed his arms and contemplated that idea happily. Excited, Kira clapped her hands together. Mir geht's gut, hab Urlaub, entspanne einfach mal eine Woche. Das hört sich sehr gut an. Das hört sich sehr gut an. Genießt den Urlaub und das Entspannen.
Yeah.
Oh, we could really make a day out of it. Might as well enjoy the ocean while we can. That sounds lovely, Kov. Everyone else put in their own agreement with Kov's suggestion. Before long, both families dispersed, getting everything ready. Sandwiches had to be made, water, sunscreen, towels, and more needed to be gathered and packed. An hour later, both your families and Kov's were walking down the old path to the beach. The morning was already turning into a bright and beautiful day. You honestly couldn't ask for better weather for a beach trip. The moment you laid your eyes to the full view of the ocean, you stopped and stood there mesmerized. It didn't matter that you grew up there. The sight always filled you with wonder. Sind wir jetzt schon im Familienalltag angekommen? Ich glaube noch nicht ganz. Wir beenden aber gerade tatsächlich den 3. Lebensabschnitt und fangen dann wahrscheinlich, also wir fangen jetzt, das ist glaube ich ein fließender Übergang, damit im 4. und letzten Abschnitt an. The moment you laid your eyes on the full view of the ocean, you stopped and stood there mesmerized. It didn't matter that you grew up there. The sight always filled you with wonder. Hey, Jenny.
So?
I was thinking about calling Terry and Miranda, see if they can come too. Everyone else is pretty much already here, so would your family mind? That'd be cool, I'll ask them. You were already so excited at the prospect of seeing your friends today that you immediately darted away in the direction your moms went. Behind you, you could hear the familiar sound of Carl laughing. I have a question. Would it be alright if Terry and Miranda came by? I don't see why not. Ma looked to Mom to see what she thought, and she nodded in agreement. Mom then shot a glance over... Boah, mein Fuß ist gerade eben runtergefallen. Mom then shot a glance over at Mr. Holden and Kira, knowing that they had likely heard everything.
You alright with that?
Liv, Kira, what do you think? The more the merrier.
Okay.
Of course, they're welcome with me. Thanks. Delighted, you nodded and turned your heels on your heels. Kov was still several feet away talking to Lee and Liz, likely about the same topic. With a beaming smile, you gave him a thumbs up, and the two of them must have also approved as Kov quickly got his phone out and started making the calls. At that, you turned your attention to helping with the picnic setup. Unexpectedly, your phone started vibrating. You dug it out, curious to see the caller ID. Feeling your heart jump with excitement, you answered the video call request. It was Derek. Derek! Hey, it's been a while. Feine Schnitte. Hör mal, der war doch noch so ein kleiner Pimpf. Halleluja, Derek. Wow. Seriously, but what's up? The voice that came through was much deeper than it had been when you first met, but it still had the exact same amount of enthusiasm of a kid. Have you been enjoying these crazy summer days? Yeah, I have. It's been amazing. There's been ups and downs. It's been memorable, to say the least. I would have enjoyed them more if you'd been there. It's been memorable, to say the least. Sounds interesting. You'll have to catch me up on that. But what about you? How's your summer been? You were beyond curious to know what Derek had been up to since the last time you spoke. He chuckled, noticing your invested tone. Honestly, I've just been slammed with stuff lately. College applications and scholarship inquiries. What else is new? I bet you're even more toned than the last time I saw you, you joked. Your only real struggle will be choosing which place to go. They all be desperate to have you. I wish you nothing but good luck. Ja, wir wünschen immer viel Erfolg und Glück. I'm gonna need it. I kind of doubt that. He chuckled. You could hear his small smile when he spoke. Yeah? Yeah, of course. You've worked really hard. Oh, well, it's true. Thanks. His cheerful tone elicited a chuckle out of you. What about your family? Are your brothers being good? My little brothers are little punks, but I guess they're doing all right. You both laughed at that. Mom and Dad are fine. That's great. My moms are too. Turning your attention back to your surroundings, you smiled warmly at your family buzzing around. Towels were laid out and chairs and umbrellas were being set up. Vielleicht. Aber da elicited stand da. Elicited. Hat er dir die Sprache geraubt? Derek, ja. Schon? Ich glaube, ihr müsst irgendwie... Ich weiß nicht. Bin ich einfach im Delay mit dem Chat hier im Chat? Oder, in der Tat, ich glaube, ich hatte Delay. Ich wollte gerade sagen, ich glaube, ihr habt Delay. Nee, ich hatte Delay. Aber ja, er hat mir die Sprache geraubt. Er ist schon ein kleiner Hottie. Also wir wissen nicht mehr, ob er klein ist. So. Actually, I'm out with my moms right now. Liz and Lee are here visiting too. Oh, that's fun, but if that's the deal, I'll let you get back to it. Are you sure? I don't mind. Uh-huh, I'm sure. I'm not about to lose your number. Dann Ellie cited? Aber ich war auch spät mit Schreiben. Ich habe keine Ahnung. Bei mir läuft ja alles irgendwie drunter drüber, ne? Okay, bye. Bye, Jenny. Have a heck of a day. Hanging up the conversation left you energized and in good spirits. It was exactly what you needed to make this day even better. You hurried over to your mom's and helped you put the rest of the food out. In moments you noticed Cove at your side. So, what did they say? They're gonna come. Cool. Thanks for calling them.
No problem.
No problem. I'm glad I thought of it. They'll meet us here later today. Shouldn't be too long. I can't wait. Once the setup was done, everyone got comfortable and dug into the food. You couldn't remember the last time breakfast tasted this good, but you attributed it to the gorgeous ocean view and soothing sea breeze. The conversation shifted to what you all would do next.
In that case,
We could do a few rounds of volleyball. There's plenty of us now.
is that all right?
Could I play? Of course. Miranda brightened, delighted with this plan. Ma looked around to see if there were any other takers. I don't feel like playing. I'd have to change, but it'd be fun to watch. I could be the ref. My eyes won't miss a thing. Volleyball's a good idea, but there should probably be something happening for those who aren't a fan. Ooh, I have some crafting supplies we could use to make jewelry. We could even use stuff we find around the beach to accentuate them.
Really?
What? Really? I want to make a necklace.
That'd be great.
I'd be interested in trying my hand at that too. I could do that. Nice. Ich bevorzuge auch mehr Schmuck machen als Volleyball. I'll make some jewelry. Oh, sorry, Leute. So, irgendwie hatte ich gerade Kloß im Hals. Already you were imagining various designs you could make depending on what Lee let you use. Your cousin shot you a thumbs up, clearly happy with your decision. Immer noch dieses Kratzen im Hals. Ja, Allergie halt. Ich hab's, wenn ich Allergie habe, dann egal wie viele Antiallergika-Tabletten und sonst was ich nehme, mein Hals ist immer betroffen, immer. So. Ach so, ja. Bei dir geht das ja auf den Hals. Yes. Also nee, ich habe auch durchaus dann auch so tränende Augen, juckende Augen, Nase läuft und so weiter. Aber mit der Allergietablette kriege ich das halt in den Griff, aber das mit dem Hals löst sich halt nicht. Minimal vielleicht. Kira got up from the towel she was sitting on. She brushed some sand off her legs and then stretched her arms over her head.
Can do.
I'm up for a few rounds. Well, since there's still a free spot, I'll throw my head in the ring. The things I do for family.
Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. I'd love that. Liz got up from where she was sitting, and you could tell by her expression that she was already determined to win. You laughed to yourself, curious now how that game would turn out. Now that plans were settled, the group temporarily split into two.
Okay.
Okay, let me pop back to the house to get my supplies. Is there something we should do? Yes, you can start clearing out the towers for us to work at. And if you want, look around for good stuff to use.
I'm on it.
Roger that. While Lee ran back to the house, the group did just as she suggested. By the time she returned, everyone had their craft area ready to work at. Oi. Lee sat down on one of the towels and looked up at everyone eagerly. She held up 2 necklace options. I hope you've all been thinking about what you want to make. I have for everyone a choice of either a chain or a threaded rope. How do I pick? All I know is that I want to put some sea glass chunks on it. There's no rush. I leave the strands here and you can decorate it however you want later. I think I'll keep it classic and only worry about finding a decent shell.
Yeah!
Gott. So, ich ziehe nun weiter. Viel Spaß euch noch an einen schönen Tag. Brötchen, ich wünsche dir auch noch einen schönen Tag und danke, dass du vorbeigeschaut hast heute. Yeah, I'm planning on doing shells too. I want to find some sea glass too. I'm gonna hunt for a handful of shells to pick from. I'm gonna look for some driftwood. I want to use some stones. I'll just wait and see. I don't have a plan. Was ist denn sea glass? Ja, ich nehme. I wanna find some sea glass too. Treibglas im Meer. Ja, ich wusste schon, was das ist. Ich brauchte aber ein Bild gerade dazu. I wanna find some sea glass too. Mein Bauch hat gerade sehr laut geknurrt. Great minds thinking the same. We can look together. Happy with that suggestion, you nodded. Cove crossed his arms and chewed at the inside of his cheek. You weren't the only one that noticed. What's wrong, Cove? I'm not sure what to use. I mean, ideally I'd want a shark tooth, but what are the chances I would even find one? Mom smiled. You both looked at him sympathetically. Sorry, the rare downside of not having a shark-filled coast. That would make for a really nice necklace, though.
I know.
I know. At Cove's pouting, Mom gave him a little bump on the shoulder with her fist. Well, don't lose all hope. You never know. You might end up really lucky. Cove laughed. It cheered him up, even though he wasn't really convinced. After that, the little crafting club busily went to work on their pieces. Whatever they decided on using was attached in loops that were then slid into the necklace base. Terry was immensely proud of herself when she was done. Hers was simple but gorgeous because of the striking piece of sea glass she painstakingly searched for and found. Cove ended up using driftwood of varying lengths to design his necklace. Despite not finding any shark teeth, he still looked pretty pleased. Mom decided on a medium-sized purple ring top shell as the centerpiece of hers, and Lee went with a few small similar shells. They both put their necklace on soon after finishing them. After combing the beach several times, you found just what you were looking for. It took a bit, but you managed to make a necklace you were satisfied with. It mostly had sea glass. Your group of crafters would also cheer for the volley. Also ich falle immer irgendwie runter von meinem PC-Gehäuse. Your group of crafters would also cheer for the volleyball players. Whenever shouts could be heard coming out of the court. On top of that, you all allowed... Da steht would. Warum lese ich denn allowed? On top of that, you all would hold up each newly made piece in the air and the players would take a breather to applaud the creation. You really enjoyed searching the beach, trading supplies and watching everyone make their necklaces. Ich glaube, heute habe ich keinen so guten Leselauf. The crafting... Ich lese halt total kacke und spreche Wörter auch total kacke aus. So, was soll das denn? Naja. The crafting club was definitely a success, and you weren't the only one that had a blast. The afternoon continued to drift by, but the fun was still going strong. Occasionally, someone would head back to the houses to use the bathroom, rest away from the sun a while, or to retrieve something that they needed, but they always came back. The beach was never empty, and there was always a new conversation to take part in or another game to join. At one point, Mr. Holden even broke out his pack of cards. He roped the whole group into a few rounds of good old go fish. There was only one thing that could bring this beach day to an end, and that was for the day itself to end. Before anyone realized it, the sun began to set over the sea. As that happened, you were taking a break, sitting on a towel with your legs stretched out past it and your feet buried in the warm sand. You were listening to music on a little speaker next to you. Shortly, you looked up to see your moms approaching. They stopped in front of you and you smiled. Hey there, kiddo.
How are you?
How are you doing? I'm doing really good. How about you? We are wonderful. They both sat down, squishing you between them. Ma leaned her head against yours and Mom started rubbing your back soothingly. Nothing more was said at first, but Ma sighed contentedly. Mom looked at you wistfully. We are both really proud of you, Jenny.
True.
You grew up to be more than we ever could have hoped. Thank you. It's only thanks to you two. Your eyes started tearing up. I'm not sure I deserve any of that glowing praise. Ich glaube tatsächlich, wenn ich sowas höre, dann wäre ich erstmal so richtig so... Hey, weg, geht mal weg damit. Aber da wir ein sehr gutes Verhältnis pflegen und uns auch Komplimente geben und sowas, glaube ich, würden wir eher so anfangen zu weinen, weil wir genau wissen, dass die Mütter jetzt verstehen, dass wir halt gehen. Ne, also in einen neuen Lebensabschnitt, dann ziehen wir ja auch aus und so, denke ich mal. Und ja, your eyes started tearing up. It wasn't your intention, but their praise took you by surprise. Your bottom lip started to quiver.
Everything okay?
No, sweetie, we didn't mean to make you cry. Ma wrapped an arm around your middle and squeezed you tightly in a side hug, and tears started running down your cheeks. Mom lightly brushed some of your hair. It's okay, I'm just so happy I got to have you as my moms. After that, all three of you were sitting there sniffling and teary-eyed. Gruppenwein! You wiped some of the tears away with the back of your hand. I don't know how we got so lucky with you and Liz. Ma reached out in front of you for Mom's hand. She gave it to her and Ma squeezed it.
Of course.
We must have done something right. You stayed there quietly and contently, watching the sunset with your parents for a while. Until Mr. Holden called out to you. He was still walking in your direction. We were talking and thinking we're gonna take a walk down the shore. Any of you want to come? Na gut, sie sind zumindest nah am Wasser gebaut. Ja, die sind nicht nur nah am Wasser gebaut, sie sitzen sogar am Wasser. In zweierlei Hinsicht. Automatically, you looked to your moms for what they were thinking. Mom glanced from you to Ma and smiled. That sounds good to me.
That's fantastic.
Yes, that'd be very nice. My legs need some stretching. Let's go. Thrilled, Mr. Holden threw out a thumbs up and began heading back the way he came in, a light jog. Hey, don't leave us in the dust. Cliff kept going forward but flipped around, walking backwards across the sand so he could face you again.
No worries.
Don't worry, we wouldn't leave without you. All right, we'll catch up. Before you forgot, you turned off the speaker and left it on the towel for now. Ready to go? Uh-huh. Both of your moms held a hand out to you. Chuckling, you gave them each one and you all strolled back to the rest of the group. When Liz was in reach, Ma used her free hand to pull her into it too. Liz shook her head, but her mouth quirked into a smirk and she didn't resist. Das finde ich schöner. Together as a family, you followed behind the others hand in hand. Your feet squished into the wet sand as the waves rolled over them, and you didn't have a single care in the world as more and more stars began to dot the sky. Once the sun had long been out of sight, it was finally time to pick up. The closing of the day and the ever-approaching end of summer seemed to intertwine. It caused a quiet, reflective mood to blanket over the group. On the beach, Terry and Miranda took turns compressing Cove in a hug before moving on to do the same to you. You chuckled, still overjoyed that you got to see them today. I'm sorry we have to go already. My parents are here. That's okay. But still, I wish we could help clear this all up. Don't worry about it, just thanks for coming out today. It was cool having everyone here.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I'm super glad we came. Hopefully we can do it again sometime. Nodding, you turned your attention to Terry. She wore a large grin on her face and held a hand out for a low five. You obliqued.
See you later.
Take care of yourselves, buddies. After that, they walked away, waving to you and Cove as they went down the shore. Cove waved quietly back with a small smile on his face. Warte mal, jetzt habe ich... After that, they walked away, waving to you. Okay. You waved too. It was a big wave. You hoped Miranda was right and there would be another day like this soon. Taking you by surprise, Terry jumped and twisted around. She kept up with Miranda by walking backwards. She kept the mood of your farewell light by shooting finger guns at you and Cove. Miranda bumped her with a hip. It left everyone with a laugh just before they disappeared down the bend. Jenny?
Come on.
Hey Cove, could you come here? Both of your parents were motioning for you. The two of you went to them. Tons of things ended up at the beach over the course of the day, so there was still so much to pack up and the parents needed help. With a nod you got to it, and stuffing various things into bags and bundling them up in towels. Once things were ready to go, everyone filled their arms with as much as they could carry. Absolutely no one wanted this to be a back and forth kind of task. The walk back home ended up being mostly quiet. Each person seemed to be feeling the effects of the day. A cool breeze carried you across the sand and onto the road. There was a sigh of relief from what felt like the group as a whole when they arrived back to the neighborhood. Wer ist Fragezeichen? Well, hello everyone. You glanced to the side and spotted a very recognizable face walking down the road. Derek? Oh, hi Baxter.
How are you?
Do you need help with that? It's alright, this is our mess to clean up.
Well.
Oh, well, if you're sure then. I was simply heading home after getting some fresh air. The season is almost over after all. Yeah. Baxter was only a tourist. He wouldn't be in town much longer, you knew that, and so did he. If you have a minute, I'd just like to say it was a pleasure getting to know you both this summer. His head tilted towards you and he smiled warmly. Baxter offered you his hand. You used your freer hand to shake his. You waved goodbye instead. You patted his shoulder. You sighed, hugged him. You raised your hand for a high five. You used your freer hand to shake his. It was tough with that you were carrying, but you were able to extend one of your hands a bit. Baxter chuckled and shook it. I think we did end up as good friends. I really enjoyed meeting you. Good luck on your next semester at school. You didn't say anything. I really enjoyed meeting you.
Glad to hear it.
Glad to hear it. I'm delighted to hear that. I enjoyed this vacation immensely thanks to you. Baxter turned to shake Cove's hand this time. He was a little incredulous, for a moment, but then Cove eventually shifted what he was carrying and took Baxter's hand. It wasn't long, but it was a solid handshake. Baxter was clearly pleased. I wish we had more time together, but it was still a nice ride. While it lasted, would happily do it all over again. Bye, Baxter. So, nee, wir wollen jetzt aufhören. Reicht. Yeah, bye. Achso, yeah, bye. Baxter nodded and walked a few steps towards his condo. He then stopped and waved. Goodbye. Baxter sauntered away completely and disappeared inside the condo to return to his own things. His time with you and your family and friends ending. You paused for a moment, staring at where he went. But afterwards you looked back over at the rest of the group. Lee and Liz were just going inside your house. You couldn't spot Kira or Mr. Holden anywhere, but the door to their house was wide open. Mom approached you with an amused look on her face. Seems like you're holding up some Holden things. Oh, Mom. Surprised, you glanced down to take a quick inventory of what you were holding. Mom was right. Some of it belonged to the neighbors. Would you mind dropping it off now? Can do, it's no problem. Thank you very much. Cove took a few steps toward his house and stopped waiting for
Good
you.
night.
Good night, Cove. I'll see you inside, Jenny. Night. You caught up to Cove and together you went over to his house. Walking in the front door, you saw Kira and Mr. Holden busily unpacking already. Things were scattered on counters and they were moving around each other, putting the items away. They both lifted their heads when Cove closed the front door. Hey! It's nice seeing you again already, Jenny. Her teasing tone brought a light smile to your face. You hefted the stuff in your arms a little closer. I handed up with things of yours from the beach. Oh, thanks for getting that to us. Can you put it here on that coffee table? Mr. Holden pointed at the surface he was referring to, and you immediately left what didn't belong to your family there. Cove put his own things down on the floor just at his feet, wading through everything strewn about to reach his parents. Putting your family stuff on the ground for a moment, you dusted your hands off and straightened up. You needed a second of rest and a minute to resituate it all. You went over to where the others were too. Kira opened her arms wide, wanting to hug you. You accepted. Happily, you went to her. She held on tightly. Over the years, you were able to form a good rapport with her, and you were grateful for that. You could feel in her hug how much Kira had grown to care about you. It brought an affectionate smile to your face. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. It was a blast. It's no problem. I had fun too. Kira eventually released you, but patted the tops of your shoulders as a final gesture.
Thank you.
Every time I've gotten to come by, it's been an absolute joy. Things really couldn't have worked out better. Mr. Holden took a step closer to you. Kira moved aside to let him say goodbye too. He grinned. Thanks for always being such a friendly neighbor, and not just right now, but for as long as I've known you. I didn't always make it easy, but you and your family are good people. I really, truly appreciate it.
Thanks very much.
Thanks again, Jenny, so much. At that, Mr. Holden reached over and gave you a soft pat on the top of your head. I'm really glad that you're my neighbor. You're good people too. You hugged him. Goodbye, Mr. Holden. You hugged him. Wir wollen ihn auch mal umarmen, okay? You hugged him. Taking him by surprise, you latched your arms around Mr. Holden. He let out a small squeak and went rigid. After a moment, he relaxed and began to lightly pat your back before shifting into a full hug. You held on firmly. Thank you for being a good neighbor. As you let go, he sniffled, but then he met your gaze once more, his mouth pulled into a wide, happy grin. Mr. Holden was staring at you, but his gaze seemed far away. Maybe he was looking back at who you used to be, the 8-year-old he had asked to be his son's new friend.
See you.
Bye, Jenny. Bye. Dann sind es immer 5 Jahre. Das heißt, wir werden 23 dann sein nach dem Sommer. Bye, Jenny. You smiled softly. Then Cove took a step forward. He gestured to his pile of things he had carried into the house.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about all that. I'll put stuff away in a few minutes. Right, I need to go do the same with my family. I figured. Cove walked you to the door and held it open. Taking one last check around to make sure you had all your things to bring home, you went into the road. He leaned his body against the doorframe, not following you out. So this is it, huh? Actually, that's not what I mean. His expression twisted and he shook his head a bit, like he was trying to banish the pensive thoughts.
Bye.
I just say bye. Bye, I'll see you soon. Your mouth pulled into a soft smile and you weren't sure who you were trying to reassure more. Dann sind wir gerade erst 18. Ja, jetzt gerade. Ganz am Anfang, in Step 1 waren wir 8, dann waren wir 13, jetzt sind wir 18 und dann werden wir im 4. wahrscheinlich so um die 23 sein. Ja. Cove reached forward and gently cupped your face with one hand. His thumb trailed across your cheek for several heartbeats. Mesmerized by his blue eyes, you stepped forward, delighted to oblige the request he was silently asking. He met you halfway as you smiled into the kiss. It was soft with the longing, and your chest ached, knowing that there couldn't be anything more than this, at least for now. One of his hands grabbed onto the door handle and firmly held it. He was stopping himself from coming along with you. As you walked over to your own front door, you stopped. Turning around, you spotted Cove right where you left him. You laughed quietly to yourself. For a small pause, you both stared at each other from across the street. Dann waren wir beim letzten Mal auch schon 18, wenn die Kapitel ungefähr genauso lang sind. Dann haben wir ja noch einiges vor uns. Hä? Nee, wir sind ja jetzt fertig mit dieser Zeitspanne 18 Jahre. Jetzt gehen wir in den nächsten Zeitsprung. Und danach ist fertig. Ja, wir rufen ihm mal gute Nacht zu. Night. You shouted across the way to another. He moved one of his arms in a big wave so you couldn't miss it. Things couldn't be dragged out any longer. After one more shared smile, you opened the door and went inside, shutting it behind you. A few steps in, you saw your family gathered in the living room. They were still busy unpacking and cleaning. You added the things you brought to the pile on the kitchen counter. Mom stood up, rubbing her eyes a bit. She yawned loudly. I'm bushed. How about we finish the rest of the course tomorrow? Yes, honestly, it's too late for this.
Thanks.
Please and thank you. Ma put her hands on her hips and turned to assess the room. Ma was not one who liked to leave a mess about, but she sighed.
All right.
I suppose we can make an exception to the usual rule. It has been a really long day. Liz grinned contentedly. Lee wasted no time in skipping over to you and hooked you into a side hug. Good night. I hope you have the loveliest dreams of you know who. Lee ended that sentence with a wink and a hearty laugh. She let you go. You shook your head. Lee giggled at that. Her grin widened till it was going ear to ear. After a moment, her expression softened. Lee put a hand on your shoulder. Hey, after today, we all deserve a good sleep. Yeah. Here's to us, Jenny. Tonight, tomorrow, and forever. You smirked at that? Yeah, family forever. Thanks, Lee. You're really lucky you nodded quietly. Yeah, family forever. Ist ja unsere Cousine. Lee leaned in close to whisper in your ear. You didn't fail to catch the teasing look on her face. Aww. Exactly. There's no escape. That got a laugh out of you. You lightly pushed her shoulder. Lee stretched her arms high over her head. She yawned loudly and looked at you with tired eyes. I think that's my cue to head to bed. Bye. I think so too. Have fun sharing the room with Liz. She laughed at that and Lee shuffled off towards the guest bedroom. Before you had a chance to do anything else, you could feel the top of your head being tapped. You spun around to see Liz smirking. Nighty-night. I'm heading to bed too. It's been a long day and I have a lot to prepare for tomorrow. Exhaling, you automatically started fixing the back of your hair. When Liz didn't immediately walk away, you smiled softly at her. Everything okay? Her gaze moved away and you knew she had more to say. You waited patiently for Liz to compose her thoughts. It's been a good summer. It was nice to come back home. You nodded and Liz gave you a teasing nudge as she went by. Amused, you turned and watched her go. Love you, baby sister. I love you too. Liz stopped walking and stared at you for a moment. She smiled softly at you. Get some sleep soon. Morning will be here faster than you know it. I will. When Liz was out of sight, Mom started up the next conversation over her shoulder. Aren't you heading up to bed too? I wanna relax first. I wanna finish getting everything. I wanna relax first. Desperately, you needed some time to decompress and clear your mind. You were worried if you went off to bed now that you would end up staring at the ceiling all night. Okay. Ma came over too, smiling understandingly. She pulled you into a big hug.
Love you.
All right, you do what you need to. I love you. When you were done hugging Ma, Mom pulled you into another hug. Their actions basically handing you off to the other had you laughing jovially.
I love you.
I love you so much. I love you too. Aww. Aww, guck mal, wie die Mama blushed. They both couldn't resist taking turns hugging you again. Your smile widened. It felt good to be so loved. Good night, kiddo. Sleep tight. Good night, sweetie. Night. After that, your moms headed off towards the bedroom down the hall. You were about to turn the other direction when you heard Mom's voice. And don't let the bed bugs bite. What? You heard Ma chuckling as you watched them go with a smile. Time had passed, but you weren't entirely sure how much. Sighing, you sat up on the couch. It was a good rest. It was a good rest, and all of your tired muscles felt quite relaxed. You got up, planning on going to bed, when something out of the window caught your eye. Your feet brought you right in front of the large window spanning the length of the back wall. You stared out into the hills behind your house. As if on cue, your phone came on, alerting you of a few notifications. It was Cove. Wanna hang out on the hill tonight? Yeah? Something inside told you that this was the right kind of night to take a trip out there. You sent him back a very quick message. Yeah. Aw, ein Herzchen. You went over to the front door and, stepping over the threshold, you gave the living room one last glance over your shoulder. Then you shut the door behind you. Silently, you made your way to the Poppy Hill. With light steps in the dark, you walked across the hills behind your house. Up ahead at the very top, silhouetted beneath the night sky, was a familiar figure already waiting there. Smiling, you wondered just how he always got there first. You even had the advantage of living closer. Then again, and maybe it was only in your mind, but somehow Cove was intrinsically linked with this place. After all these years, it would be weird to scan this horizon and not find him there, as surreal as the shore without the sea. The distance between you was growing shorter by the second. Hearing the grass and earth crunch under your feet, Cove turned. A grin spread over his face as he saw you. You took your place standing behind him on the crest of the Poppy Hill, looking out over the ocean. Same as you'd done on countless times since he'd first arrived, when you'd found him on this very same spot.
Jenny.
Jenny. He had officially broken the silence, the spell that had held you both in place. You looked at him expectantly. There's something I've always kind of wondered about. He cocked his head, giving you a sidelong glance. What did you think about when we met? I was just a kid you'd never seen before, bawling his eyes out on the hill next to your house. He chuckled, his eyes drifting towards the sea beyond before flicking back to you. The way his gaze pulled back to you made it clear that he was genuinely invested in the topic. Luckily for him, you remembered what initially struck you in that moment. It was as if it had only happened yesterday. Well, I remember noticing your very bright green hair. Cove burst into genuine laughter at your reply. I guess that's fair. I did kind of stand out. Sighing a bit, you continued to reminisce about that first meeting. I also remember feeling bad about what was happening. I remember that too. You ran a hand through his hair and you knew his line of questioning wasn't at end, even before he spoke again.
I mean,
do you remember what you thought about me? You know, as a person? Was I annoying or mean or... I wanted to get to know you. I didn't know what the feelings were at the time, but I thought you were cute right away. I thought you were special somehow. I just worried about you because you were so sad. I don't really remember anymore. I was just worried because you were so sad. His eyes widened dolefully and he hung his head like a guilty puppy.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry for upsetting you. Cove's hand drifted to the scar on his arm, his fingers unconsciously gliding over the mark. It was much less noticeable than it had been when the neon pink cast had first come off, shrunken gradually over the years as his body healed, then dwarfed it in comparison to his growing body. Was habe ich jetzt verpasst? Warte mal. Was ich meine ist, dass wir ja einige Zeit in dem Kapitel 18 verbracht haben. Dann wird das Kapitel 23 auch noch einiges an Content bringen. Ach so, ja. Vor allem, weil wir gerade anfangen. Also das wird auf jeden Fall noch sehr lange dauern, bis wir da ganz fertig sind. Also bestimmt noch einen Monat. Bin ja mal gespannt, wie viele von den Leuten im nächsten Kapitel noch auftauchen, weil sich der Freundeskreis in dem Zeitabschnitt normalerweise schon ändert. Wissen wir nicht. Ich wusste bis eben nicht, dass Jovial ein deutsches Wort ist. Jovial? Wenn es ein deutsches Wort ist, habe ich das noch nie in meinem Leben gehört. Ich dachte, das kommt von Juvenile. I don't know. Still, his fingers came back to it without thinking. He gave a half smile, not meeting your eyes. I feel bad now. The thoughts I had were, well, considering what you were thinking, I come across as a lot worse of a kid. You didn't like me?
No.
No, it definitely wasn't that. Was? Kof lifted his head up, finally committing to meet your eyes fully once more. I remember you that day. I remember it really well. I don't think I'd ever be able to forget. I can picture the way you looked back then when I first saw you standing right here. I still know the expression on your face when you chose to sit with me in the grass. He chuckled decisively, interrupting his own monologue. You scared me at first. I figured I'd be alone out there until I had to face my dad again, and then suddenly another kid appeared out of nowhere. It was startling, but I got over that fast. You were a strange person in a strange place, but in that moment you were exactly what I needed. Somebody I could talk to freely about what was happening and how it made me feel. And you listened to me, and you stayed with me. He sighed, then bit his lip as he gave a small smile. I was a little bit spoiled growing up. You let him continue. A little? Yeah, you were. It wasn't bad. You were dealing with a lot. You let him continue. He looked off again, seeking clarity for his thoughts in the expanse of the night sky. What I'm trying to say is, when I was younger, I viewed myself basically as the center of the universe. I didn't even imagine it wasn't like that.
I mean...
Things didn't simply happen. That would be weird. According to my little kid brain, it made far more sense that everything in my life had a specific connection to me, somehow, right? He sought affirmation in you, wavy brows raised as he tried to explain his childlike logic. So at the time you felt almost unreal. Oha. Sag doch gleich divine. Like, you weren't just anyone, some other kid who happened to live in that neighborhood with your own whole life that wasn't connected to Cove Holden. No, to me, you were there so that you could find me when I was lost. Though it turns out you were there for that, you were trying to find me because something had sent you specifically to do that. I just didn't expect it to be my dad. I guess he knew more about what I needed than I thought. He chuckled, shaking his head as he shook off the thought. I kind of expected it all to vanish like a dream when that night was over. I would wake up and everything would be the same again. I'd be back in my bed at home, my real home, with both my parents. The future was something I couldn't picture anymore. I didn't know what school would be like when I went back, or the table where I'd eat breakfast the next morning or anything. And if I couldn't imagine it, how could I think it was something actually happening? I couldn't grasp my new reality. It was too big for me to hold all at once. Das Adjektiv jovial, das hört sich so dämlich an, beschreibt einen im Umgang mit niedriger stehenden, betont wohlwollendes Verhalten. Synonyme von jovial sind gnädig, leutselig und gönnerhaft. Ich glaube aber, in dem Kontext war es gar nicht das. Weiß ich gar nicht mehr. So I never thought I'd see you again. Then Cove beamed at you, his eyes shining bright. And I never ever would have been able to guess that 10 years later, when I was grown up, the two of us would still be together. I'm so glad I met you. It's hard to believe it's been so long. Guess that makes your dream come true. Mere words couldn't encompass the joy you felt. You smiled. Na, wir sind auch froh, dass wir den getroffen haben. I'm so glad I met you. I feel the same about you. But the smile faded from his face as his eyebrows drew together. That was the worst day of my life at the time. The day my family broke apart. It was too heavy for me to even think about. I felt that way for I don't know how long. War bestimmt in der Bedeutung wohlwollend gemeint. Ich weiß schon gar nicht mehr, in welchem Kontext das stand. He held a hand over his heart, connecting with the pain he'd felt as a child, and looked at you earnestly.
It's okay.
But that was never really true. Things have only gotten better with me and with Dad and Mom. It was the change we all needed. His eyes were growing misty. So when I remember that time right now, it's not the point that my life was over. It was only the moment that I met the woman. Oh nein. It was only the moment that I met the woman I love. Oh mein Gott. Nein. Ach, so. When I was crying to a stranger over what I thought I'd lost, I didn't have any idea that she would be the one thing in the world that I actually wouldn't be able to live without. I love you. Oh Gott, Chat, was ist denn mit meiner Stimme los? Also wirklich, ich hasse Allergie. Ich hasse es. I love you. I never want to lose you. You're so wonderful. Zu viel Schnulze, finde ich auch. Aber es ist süß. You're so wonderful. Thank you for all of this. You couldn't reply to that. I love you. He took in a breath, forever amazed whenever you spoke those words.
I love you.
I love you too, Jenny. Then you hugged him, then you gripped his shoulders, then you ruffled his hair, then you kissed him, then you teared up, then you grinned back at him, then you kissed him. He leaned into the kiss, his lips soft against yours. Cove sighed contently. His voice was as delicate as the petals on the poppies which crowned this hill. Hey, Jenny, I'm so grateful you always took care of me. You didn't even know what to say back to that. His heartfelt appreciation left you speechless. He tilted his head up, thoughts lost in the sparse clouds above. I wonder how late it is. I guess it doesn't really matter. My dad is fine with me being out whenever. You could just use your phone to check the time. You could still text your dad about what you're doing. You could still text your dad about what you're doing. I'm gonna message my moms. My moms might care, but I don't feel like telling them. You wanted to make sure you messaged your mom about what was going on. You're quietly not... Was haben wir nochmal gesagt? I wonder, I guess it doesn't really matter. Yeah, okay, so. You quietly nodded. Mr. Holden was content giving Cove all the freedom he could. Are you going to lay in the grass now? Wow, how'd you know? Lucky guess, Cove. With a chuckle, Cove plopped down onto the ground and laid on his back, his usual way of spending time there. You stayed standing, you sat down, you sat on Cove's chest. You also laid on your back, you laid down and snuggled against him. You lowered yourself against Cove's side in the grass and wrapped an arm over his chest. Cove smiled at you and used his free hand to cradle your face. The both of you fully settled into relax on hill. It felt like just the beginning of one of your nightly outings, but then you realized the sun was peeking out over the horizon. Cove spoke up with a disbelieving tone.
Huh.
It really was late. Your neighbor wasn't a stranger to being awake at dawn, however, not like this. He was normally an early sleeper, early riser. This unexpected sunrise particularly awed him. The two of you watched on silently as the sun began to light the world. Cove then propped himself up on the backs of his arms and looked at you with a soft expression on his face. Do you want to go back home? I could carry you if you're too tired. I'd rather stay a little longer. You couldn't resist a yawn, but you were serious. It couldn't be time to go already. Cove chuckled affectionately and gripped you a little more.
I get it.
Okay, but it's been a long day. We've done a lot of things, like really a lot. It has to end sometime. I know you're right. Since when were you okay with things ending? Does it really have to end? Yeah, I don't think there's anything either of us can do about that one, but we can stay if you want to. Cove smiled brightly at you, as warm as the new rays of the sun that were tickling your skin. In that moment you couldn't have appreciated him being there more. You situated yourself to be comfortable, you leaned into Cove, you kissed. You kissed him. You moved your face forward and gave Cove a small kiss. He tilted his head against yours. Good night, Cove. Good morning, Cove. You're my favorite neighbor. I just love you so much. And you didn't say anything more. Good morning. He gave you a bent smile and went for the opposite sentiment.
Good night.
Good night, Jenny. The two of you remained together on that familiar poppy hill where you first met until the world began to fade and blur. You were falling asleep. A few more gentle words drifted into your consciousness.
See you tomorrow.
I'll see you tomorrow. Your eyelids dipped, but you felt good. You were safe and relaxed. Everything that had come before this had reassured you of that. You were confident that when you opened them again, things would be okay. You opened your eyes. Instead of the walls of your room, you were surrounded by open sky. Oh. Oh, wir haben jetzt einfach mal draußen geschlafen. Okay. It was not soft pillows and sheets underneath you, but the bed of earth and grass that you'd taken last night. The day welcomed you with a shining sun, a refreshing breeze, and the chirping song of birds. You cupped your face with your hands as you sat up, feeling the imprint of the blades of grass leaving lines into your cheeks.
Jenny!
Jenny! Hearing your name, you lowered your hands and looked around. There he was, your most influential neighbor, Cove Holden. Ja! He made himself very comfortable, laying on his stomach with jewelry and shoes taken off and a flower in his hand. Oh, das gefällt mir besser. Good morning. Good morning to you too. Oh, das gefällt mir noch besser. Vielleicht sollte ich einfach mal ein bisschen warten. Cove laughed, tickled with the overall situation and simply being able to spend time like this. Oh, das gefällt mir auch. Hatte ich das gerade eben schon? Nee, ne? Dann habe ich nachher definitiv etwas auszuwählen. Told you I'd see you tomorrow. It's the exact same day, Cove. Pretty safe bet. We see each other nearly every day. All right, good for you. I'm glad you were right. You smiled at him. Pretty safe bet. We see each other nearly every day. So, smiling, you shrugged your shoulders and left Cove to his victory. Cove turned his head up to the sky, his expression content. Looks like it's gonna be a nice day. We'll have to come up with something to do to make the most of it. He trailed off, blinking slowly in the sunlight. Someday, when we're even older than we are now, I wonder what we'll end up remembering this moment for. What will we feel when we look back at it? Will it be the same as what we were feeling right now?
It's nice.
I can't see what the future is gonna look like again, but I think that's alright. You're way too sentimental. Pretty sure I'm gonna have forgotten all about this. I think I'll mark another new start for me. Whoops. I don't know, but I'm looking forward to finding out. I think it'll mark another new start for me. Cove's eyebrows lifted as he turned to look at you. That's a good one. I wanna think about it like that too. He eyed the hills sprawling out before you and down below, where the wild hill and nature gave way to civilization. Your home and coves lay down at the bottom, neatly filed among the other houses in the neighborhood. Cove said nothing, but fixed you with a deliberate and meaningful look. As much as I like it here, it's okay if we leave now. We can always come back to see the poppies and the fireflies again, right? Cove met your eyes, waiting for what you were going to say in response. Right, I'd like that. It really is gonna be another nice day. You're amazing. Yeah, we better do that. You're not getting out of it. We'll always be together in one way or another. I might be able to manage that. Right, I'd like that. How can he be so cute? Warte. Also, Cove blinked slowly, his eyes still locked on you, but you didn't need to see his face to know that he adored you. If there had been any room for doubt, the tender way he spoke would have filled it up. You're really irreplaceable, huh? Fuß-Content! Cove beamed at you. His expression was so unlike the other he'd worn when you first found him here, swaddled in sadness and uncertainty. Yet you couldn't help but glimpse that boy once more underneath his bright expression and matured features.
Come on.
Come on. Also eigentlich dachte ich, dass es viel kürzer geht, aber irgendwie dauert das voll lang. He offered you a hand. You accepted it, your palm fitting around his. Cove lifted himself up, pulling you along too. Our parents probably aren't gonna come running for us this time. We've got to make our own call. And I say that we can't hide away forever. Poppy Hill is just one part of things. There's more out there for us than this time and this place alone. Let's enjoy it. You couldn't say whether you were the one that broke into a run, if Cove had been the one to start it, or if your feet had simultaneously made that choice for you both. The end result was the same, with the two of you dashing down the hill like children, but with a nostalgic revelry that could only come as an adult. Ich habe das Gefühl, dass wir jetzt hier mal speichern sollten. As the wind whipped past you, you knew that family and friends were waiting at the end of your sprint. There were more memories to make after all. Jetzt sollten wir speichern. Life takes another step forward. Jetzt können wir speichern, weil ich schätze mal, dass wenn ich jetzt weiter drücke, ich habe gerade eben die Errungenschaft bekommen, dass wir Step 3 zu Ende gespielt haben, dann fängt es direkt mit Step 4 an. Und das wird dann wahrscheinlich wieder sehr lange dauern. Aber wir können natürlich gucken, ob dem so ist. Aber wir haben gespeichert und können dann im Prinzip dann beim nächsten Mal da weitermachen. So. Wait a second. Wo ist Step 4? Wo ist Step 4? Wo ist Step 4? Valkyrie. Kenn ich noch wen? Tatsächlich nicht. Also. Ich bin jetzt gerade sehr verwirrt. Und ich bin wirklich verrückt. Okay. 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 Ich war gerade schon sehr verwirrt. Aber dann war es das tatsächlich mit der Aufnahme. Und ich denke, ich werde das noch irgendwie hinzufügen. Zumindest mein Stimmchen hier im Hintergrund. Ich werde das zuschneiden, sodass das gerade eben das Ende halt Ende ist. Ja. Genau. Dann danke fürs Zusehen. Und dann sehen wir uns das nächste Mal wirklich mit dem richtigen Start zu Step 4. Das war jetzt das Ende von Step 3. Mann, ich dachte, wir fangen mit Step 4 an. Ist okay, es ist okay. Das heißt mehr Content, Chat, ja? Das heißt mehr Our Life Content. Aber dann würde ich auf jeden Fall sagen, bis zum nächsten Mal. Und tschüssi.